in some way characterized as smart citizens or a society 4.0 or even society 5.0 according to a concept proposed by Japanese government. Here you can see the difference between the two concepts. So society 4.0 for economies of scale to problem solve. Society 4.0 focused on liberation from separation of individuality. When we talk about uniform and society 5.0, which is a society where anyone can exercise diverse abilities. Society 4.0 is centered in some way, so which is .0 is decentralized society, which is a society where anyone can get opportunities anytime, anywhere. Society 4.0 is a vulnerable society because why society 5.0 is a resilient society, since it's a society where people can live and pursue challenges in the environment impact and mass consumption of resources, which is a last feature or characteristic of society 4.0 as indicated in this slide, which is focusing on the society 5.0 is a sustainable and environmental harmonious society where humankind lives in harmony with nature. There's also very interesting matching between societals. In some ways, society 5.0 is a concept that allows cities sustainable development goals, and beyond the sustainable development goals, we can achieve all all the objectives of smart city, because the SDG or the United Nations 2030 agenda has a specific timeline, because by the 2030, while all those objectives will remain relevant, because every country will need quality education at any moment, at any time in history, or in the future. So that's why I think this, as you can see here, the matching is done through different technologies and applications. If we take here, for example, equality education or SDG number 4, you have here, technologies that could contribute to this SDG, but you have also all kinds of technologies here, digital technologies that are, supporting this. Like artificial intelligence, robots, drones, sensors, mixed reality, augmented reality, cloud computing, etc. Okay. Well, the other important aspect we can cover here in this presentation is related to standards, because standards in some way propose best practices in relation with all kinds of technologies we have in our city or smart city to use the best solutions, the best approaches to build smart city solutions. And there are different international organizations that propose standards with IEEE different initiatives. I propose also IEEE here. So IEEE proposed different standards. Given an example, you can see here, for example, some of these standards for cities that cover all applications of the smart grid and different features. The intelligent transportation system for smart mobility here. You can hear access vehicle environment that allow, the connectivity for connected vehicles. For e-health, we have also a set of standards for energy efficiency, for Internet of Things, cybersecurity, e-governance, or e-gov, smart homes, learning technologies or smart education. Even for smart education, we have some of them, but there are many other standards that you can find by just checking the actual standard association website. Another important actually standard that's under development is the actually 2784, which is a guide to technology and the process framework for planning a smart city. This could be, I think. Sorry. So this guide will provide a framework that outlines technologies and processes for planning the evolution of smart cities. Smart cities and related solutions require technology standards and a cohesive process planning framework, the use of the Internet of Things to ensure the interoperable, agile, and scalable solutions that are able to be implemented and maintained in a sustainable manner. So this is a very interesting standard under development within the wide guide for cities wishing to develop smart city initiatives. Now let's focus on resilience, which is a very important feature required for smart cities. There are several definitions proposed for resilient smart cities. The first one here I propose is from OECD. According to this definition, resilient cities are cities that have the ability to absorb, recover, and social and institutional. For example, the COVID-19 pandemic is one of the the shocks that could be presented under the social aspect. So resilient cities promote sustainable development, well-being, and inclusive growth. This is the outcome of resilient cities. There is another interesting definition. So according to this definition, cities that have invested in developing capabilities to deal with all stages of the threat cycle. So we have here a threat cycle that's proposed by this definition, which is based on sensing, building, and recovering from any challenge and any threat. So those cities have demonstrated their resilience in dealing with the socio-economic effects of the pandemic, but I think here the impact of the resilience could go to others, environmental, economic, social, or institutional, as was the case in the former definition. There is another important point. We have the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, which is also related to a specific timeline, as indicated here, is trying to reach this objective in all countries around the globe by 2030. And you can see here the different objectives or targets set for actually in this framework. So the first one is to sustainably reduce global disaster mortality by 2030, global mortality rate in the decade between 2020 and 2030 compared to the period between 2005 and 2015. Target B is sustainably reduce the number of affected global figure per 100,000 in a decade between 2020 and 2030 compared to the former period. To reduce direct disaster economic loss in relation to global gross domestic product, GDP, by 2030, critical infrastructure, and disruption of basic services, among them health and educational facilities, including through developing their resilience by 2030. F, substantially enhance international cooperation to developing countries through educational actions for implementation of the present framework by 2030. And the last one is to substantially increase the availability of and access to multi-hazard early warning systems and disaster risk information and assessment to people by 2030. So actually the last target here is really strong. When we speak about early warning systems, early warning systems are mainly based on technologies. You need sensors, you need data, and you need insights from data to get insight from any risk or hazard that may happen within a city. Well, there are also several metrics that allow to measure the performance or the resilience of smart cities. And here you can see the performance framework, proposed buttons, economy, society, governance, and environment. And within each dimension, we have several indicators: unemployment rate, number of startups and businesses failures, percentage of new developments. At the bottom, you can see the key stakeholders that are needed to build resilience in our cities: citizens, government, private sector, non-profit organizations, academia, universities, schools, etc. And we have also the threat cycle, or the threat management cycle. That's based on the threat cycle. Actually, here we have the sense of the environment for possible risks and threats using sensors, IoT devices, and all kinds of devices. So we have to sense accurately, because sensing or using sensors will allow us to get data, and from data we get the insight using data analytics and other tools. And then we have to defend, and by reinforcing weak links within city organizations. This is important. You have to reinforce different infrastructures, and then we have to respond once we have a threat that happened. But by setting up a crisis management center and empower any disaster, by identifying key assets that need to continue operating at reduced capacity. We have also some urban domains and enablers. The urban domains are finance and investment, and the enablers are urban society, urban economy, and the urban environment. Here you can see other performance frameworks for smart cities. You have in this table, so that cover several dimensions: economy, environment, society and people, governance, mobility, citizen satisfaction, and propagation. And here we have national organizations. So like the city's key indicators proposed in 2017 that propose as indicators employment, equity, economic performance, green economy, etc. for land, climate resilience, pollution and waste for environment. For society, we have health, safety, access to services, education, diversity, housing, etc. For governance, we have multi-level governance, community involvement, and for propagation, we have scalability and replicability. So the framework here, the European Smart City Platform Indicator in 2007 proposed something similar here, as you can see. Also, the new KPIs for us, also a framework that proposed also other indicators that allow to measure the performance of smart city, including resilience. There are also other indicators proposed by the other organizations like the ITU, UN ITU KPIs project, Key Performance Indicator project, for smart, sustainable cities to reach the SDGs. So the main objective or focus of this framework is to measure the performance of smart cities goals. There are actually more than 50 cities included today in this framework. So, and this framework is targeting to support cities in the implementation and use of the sustainable smart city KPIs, and also is targeting to test and verify the applicability of sustainable smart city KPIs and develop the global smart sustainable city index. This is the ultimate objective of this program. So you can see here several cities included, like Dubai, Singapore, Valencia, Kochi, Fortune, etc. This KPI framework is composed of about 100 indicators, from which we have 54 core indicators, additional indicators. We have 20 smart indicators, 32 for structural indicators, and 39 for sustainability. And this it covers 3 dimensions, as indicated here: economy, environment, and society and culture. And for every topic here, economy, we have ICT infrastructure, water and sanitation, drainage, electricity supply, transport, public sector, innovation, employment, waste, building, water and sanitation, waste, environment, quality, public space and nature, energy. For society and culture, we have education, health, culture, housing, social inclusion, safety, food and security. The other important frame under 20, which is an ISO standard for sustainable development of communities. In the standard, we have 17 themes. You can see here that they cover all kinds of cities: environment, finance, fire, emergency, governance, health, recreation, safety, shelter, solid waste, communication, transportation, urban planning, wastewater, water and sanitary. You see here, emergency, safety, etc. Well, we have 100 indicators, from which we have 46 core indicators which are required, and the remaining indicators are supported or recommended. There are several cities around the world who are certified 37120, ISO 37120, like see here Melbourne, Dubai, even Mecca in Saudi Arabia, Johannesburg in Africa, Porto in Portugal, Bogota, and Buenos Aires, and so on and so forth. So based on the digital technologies, it's very important to have a dashboard for a city that allows to have an idea about how smart city dashboard operates. And we have here an example from Hyderabad city in partnership with Cisco. So this is a dashboard that monitor water quality, for example, air quality, waste disposal, load shedding, traffic congestion, property tax collection, functional street lights, parking lot occupancy, and so on and so forth. So, and the dashboards are key, I think, for risk smart cities. The governance of the smart cities is also another important aspect that should be focused on to build resilient smart cities. There are several frameworks, and this one, I think, proposed by Smart City Government. You can see here, called, resilient smart cities, and also to use best practices for government for resilient smart cities. And in this framework, you see that we have different components. So in the strategy and the policy for smart city, then we have the enablers layer, which is based on the effective financing. So money is key for all kind of applications, projects of the smart city. Trade sector partnership. So we have actually a need to involve and engage all the CP. Could be also one of the public-private partnership is one of the concepts that could be included. Integrated mobility systems, skills and talent readiness. We need, of course, to have the required skill to develop the solutions of the smart city. Innovation ecosystem based on universities and labs are also very important components in the innovation ecosystem. Data usage, because as it was mentioned before, data is key for all the services of the smart city. Optimal tech adoption, connectivity, cloud platforms, and so on and so forth. So the outcome is social. So based on this concept, we can boost the resilience of the city through three dimensions: social, environmental, and economic. So, according to this framework, we have a ranking of smart cities that based on several factors, and actually those factors are also key to build the resilient smart city. That's why I'm presenting them here. So the first one is a vision. We need a clear and well-defined strategy to develop a smart city. Leadership to dedicated city. Said money is important. Financial incentives for startup, for other stakeholders, support programs, talent readiness, people centricity. So this is another important aspect, because all the strategies, initiatives, and solutions should stem smart policies, conducting policy environments for smart city development, and we have also to track the record. According to this framework, we have a ranking, the smart city government ranking. We have here the top 10 smart city governments around the world. This is according to the recent report published by London, Singapore, Seoul, New York, Helsinki, Montreal, Boston, Melbourne, Barcelona, and Shanghai. Well, the first global smart city index that allowed to monitor and measure the smart city performance was proposed by the Institute of Management Development, IMD, in Singapore. And this index is not really similar to the KPIs they have proposed. I have shared with you in the former slides. This is based on the citizen perception. This is a different concept. So this index assesses the perception of residents or citizens of 118 cities. This is a sample of cities that were included in this verifications. So the perceptions of citizens or residents are solicited for two pillars: structure and the technology. And the pillars are evaluated based on 5 key areas. The first one is health and safety, then mobility activities, opportunities, and governance. And there were 4 groups of cities based on the United Nations Human Development Index, or HDI score, that are included. You can see here the top 10 cities according to the most recent. You can see Singapore is among the top smart cities globally, followed by Zurich, Oslo, Taipei, Lausanne, Helsinki, and so on and so forth. Well, let's move now to another technology that could be harnessed to monitor and to boost the resilience of smart cities, which is the digital twins. A digital twin is a digital replica of any physical asset. So this is a simple definition for digital twin. So you have the physical twin and the digital twin, and here you have the interaction between the two of them. And in terms of use cases, you have different in built environment, have different managing and delivering for assurance, certification for fire safety and resilience, which is, I think, our case here. Also, the predictive maintenance could be also included. The technology involved in digital twins are indicated here: IoT, cloud, and 5G, which are platform technology used to collect data. We have also artificial analyze, visualization tools, AR, VR. We need dashboards, and for which visualization tools are very important. And since we have also immersive technology, we can build 3D environment, virtual environment, like VR, AR-based environment, even metaverse environments. And the operation for executive management and to respond also to special scenarios and threats using operations, city planning, and also to predict operation or some issues within the infrastructure of city, also for marketing and sales and partnerships. We have also an ecosystem of connected digital twins. We can also, because in a city we have different, verticals, and for every application, and for transport, for power, for telecom, and we can interconnect all the digital twins in the framework of this application. Here, let's move quickly to a specific application proposed by Helsinki for a specific district within a city, and here you can see the architecture of the digital twin of the city based on several layers. In the bottom, you have data collected, the reality model, and the city view markup language model, the GML model, and then you have here the different applications and verticals. Here we have also another open geospatial based smart city platform. You have also different layers: the sensing layer at the bottom, the data layer after that, on top of that, and we have listening layer and application layer. And we have also the stakeholders taking advantage of this digital twin for this and public. We have also the cloud platforms that are used to host all the resources, and security is a big concern and should be ensured end to end through the different applications. The proposed are indicated here. We have different layers here, and we have thematic models, as you can see here, for buildings, for land use, for vegetation, transportation, bridge, tunnel, etc. Here you can see the components of the Kalasatan district within Helsinki using city GML architecture. And we have here the attributes, the the buildings, the water, the land use, the trains. For each component, we have the city the GML information model, the 3D city database, and the platforms and services. And here you have the web portal that we can monitor all the infrastructure and operation of the city. Here you can see a specific application that allows to monitor the wind within the district. You have different colors indicating different wind speed. In another application in Bradford UK, digital twin was harnessed for pandemic recovery, and you can see here different areas of Bradford with different colors, showing different pandemic levels. The red ones, I think, refer to a high level of the pandemic, and the blue ones are the lower. Stanford UK Connected Digital Twin is also using digital twin to monitor the city operation here. There are different colors. Even a small campus, here the university campus in Nanyang Technology University, Singapore, has a digital twin that allows to monitor energy. So red buildings refer to high energy consumption. This may be the data center or the high performance computing platform of the university. The blue ones are the less energy consuming sections of the campus. The water distribution network. Here you can see the consumption level of the different areas of the city, but we can also use the digital twin to detect any issues within the water distribution network of the city. Well, in order to build a digital twin, to harness digital twin, NVIDIA launched a year or 2 years ago the Omniverse, which is a platform that allows to build digital twin for cities, for other applications, for even industries. Okay, this is all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Professor Saidi, for the remarkable materials. Ladies and gentlemen, we enter the question and answer session. For on-site participants, we open the opportunity to convey question to Professor Saidi related to the materials. Okay, it seems that we haven't got any question, Professor, from the on-site. Therefore, we have a couple of questions from online participants, Professor.
Okay.
The first from Mr. Deraya, coming from Bandung Institute of Technology. The question, what are essential aspects that a developing city, unlike the capital of the nation, needs to improve the city to face the 4.0 or maybe 5.0 situation? Please.
Sorry, can you just repeat the question? I had some issue with the
Okay, sure. Unlike the capital of the nation, what are essential aspects that a developing city needs to improve to face the 4.0 or maybe 5.0 situation?
Yeah, okay. Well, I think the first thing is that we need to have the required technology infrastructure, because technology is very important. But I think we have to have a comprehensive strategy and vision to build a sustainable smart city or smart society 4.0 or 5.0, because those societies are strongly related to smart cities, and they are strongly dependent on technology, are well served in one way or another with technology, at least internet-wise or internet connectivity-wise. We have, all the cities that, have all the required infrastructure, especially big cities around the world, and even small or medium cities have the very good internet connectivity. So connectivity is key to harness all kind of applications, solutions, and services proposed for Society 4.0 or Society 5.0. But technology is only a means, but we need also vision, we need also leadership and engagement of all the stakeholders within the city to build and develop smart city solutions. The innovation ecosystem is also key. And when we talk about the innovation ecosystem, it involves all stakeholders within the city. And this needs also smart people in some way. We need to have human capital with the required skills that will help develop all the solutions for the smart city. We need also to have budget or financial, I would say, resources that will allow to build and provide the smart city solutions. And the very important aspect that I can also highlight here is the need to engage the citizens, because we don't need to have a fancy technology-based city which will not be really connected to the citizens, or not serving the citizens in a very, I would say, efficient way and inclusive way. We need to engage the citizen. The citizen should be at the heart. The concept of the Living Lab is a wonderful concept, and I'm very happy to see that in Bandung you have this concept through the Smart City Center that's working with the city, and probably this experience could be also used as best practice in other cities to develop and build the Smart Cities Initiative, and also to move from Society 4.0 to Society 5.0.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor. Next, we have one more question from the online participants, Professor. It's coming from Mr. Saldi Iswandi, Institution BKKBN, South Sulawesi, Indonesia. The question: good afternoon, Professor. In this case, the regional government is needed because the majority of regional governments are still trapped in routines and have not set aside budget and policy support for smart cities. In addition, population issues, the quality of human resources, infrastructure, and community access to and control over development are still low. This is seen in Indonesia in general. Seeing this condition, what are the first smart city, given the complexity of the existing challenges? Thank you, Professor.
Okay, thank you so much for a very pertinent question. Yes, I know that local governments and local authorities in some way are most of the time taken by the daily operational challenges, and they have I would say a little time to dedicate to strategic questions like smart cities. But I think it's very important at a certain moment that the local government or the city authorities take time and engage all stakeholders, because the smart city project, city authorities, they will not be successful if they do not involve other stakeholders within the city. So we have seen through different examples that we should be inclusive in our approach, especially by engaging all the stakeholders of the city in building a vision and strategy for smart city. We need to start by vision and strategy. This is key before looking for resources, and from that we can plan the smart city project based on the available resources and financial resources within the city, human or financial resources, and we can plan and try to also innovate in terms of mobilizing the required resources for a smart city project, because there are several tools and financial instruments that could be leveraged to, develop smart city project. Like, for example, the other models that could be used, and human centricity is also very important. So we need also to engage strongly with the citizens for all the smart city solutions and services we're providing them.
Thank you so much, Professor. That was an end for our Q&A session. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let's give warm applause to Professor Mohammed Saidi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Good afternoon from Indonesia.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we carry on to our next agenda. It's going to be training with the fourth topic, Green Transformation and Climate Action, which is delivered by Dr. Fuad El-Aini, expert at Cisco Science and Technology sector. So Dr. Fuad, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. So just I wanted to share with you our activity in Cisco, to present Cisco at the beginning and then give more information about what we are doing. So all of you, they will have an idea about one of the main international organizations in the world. So please, you can go to the next slide. So my plan, it will be on introduction of Cisco, then green transformation and the climate action is one of our big topic in which we are working, and smart and sustainable and resilient city is one of the projects under this big program. And then I will present Cisco project and the initiatives. So this is our logo, as you all see here in all the leaflets and all the this. And this is our headquarters in Rabat. You can see that we have, for each country, we have the flags. This is an international organization. We have 54 member states. Please, you go to the next one. So the Islamic World Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, ISISCO, is an international governmental organization specialized in the field of education, science, and culture. So three main fields we are focusing on: science and technology, education, and culture. ISISCO was established in 1982, and ISISCO adopts the official language Arabic, French, and English. So we have three main languages using. Our headquarters, as you can see from the left side, is based in Rabat, Kingdom of Morocco. Please, next slide. So our geographical scope, you can see we are covering all the region. We have two member countries in South America. We are covering the Arab region, the African region, and for sure also Asia, Central Asia, and South Asia. We have 17 countries in African region, member country. When I say country, it means member countries. Arab region, we have 21. We are covering Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, also Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and all the Gulf region. And also for Asian region, we are in Central Asia, Turkey, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and many other countries. And from the right side, we have Indonesia, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Brunei, Dar es Salaam. All these countries are our member country. So Asian region, we have 14 member countries. For Latin America region, we have 2 countries, and we have 2 observer member states. Can go to the next. So our vision is to be a global beacon of knowledge in education, science, culture, and communication. Our mission, we are an accelerator of development by designing policies, promoting knowledge, adopting innovation, building leadership, and offering consultation and technical support. Our strategic objective, we are mainly achieving strategic cohesion, complementarity, and coordination among our member states within Cisco area of expertise. We are building capacity to achieve sustained development We are participating in the comprehensive cultural development of the Islamic world while respecting individuality and encouraging the cultural diversity and being widely open to others. We are helping in expecting our member states' effort to join major economies that rely on knowledge innovation, and we are contributing in our member states' social reforms and help them to overcome challenges. So what is our value? A Cisco value is solidarity, innovation, transparency, cohesion, coexistence, and leadership. This is our main values. Next slide. So our area of expertise, as I already mentioned, education, science and innovation, social and human sciences, and culture and communication. So our main flagship program also in Cisco related to environment is the program on green transformation and the climate action. So we know all that climate change and the environmental degradation are existential threat to the world, are the most pressing issue facing humanity today. We are all aware about climate change impact. We need to adapt, we need to mitigate, we need to face, we need to make bold action, we need to be effective in our action. So, but human activity are the main drivers of this climate change. Almost everything we do, release emission, energy use, industry, transport, buildings, and agriculture are the main causes of release of greenhouse gas to the atmosphere. The consequence manifests through increased intensity and severity of drought, water scarcity, wildfires, rising sea level, flooding, melting polar ice, catastrophic storm, and declining biodiversity. No one today can deny the effect and the impact of climate change. Smart, sustainable, and resilient city can be also one of the solutions if we know that the majority of population are living in cities. So if we develop cities in taking consideration the concept of sustainability, of smartness, and of resilience, this can be a very important solution for tackling and for mitigating the effect of climate change. So coordinating, so what is a green transformation? When we say green transformation, it means that we will not use economy as usual, but we will shift to more sustainable economy in our cities or in our life. So when we say green transformation, it's to coordinate global efforts to ensure that humanity stays within safe limits for environmental protection, continue failing to deliver meaningful change. Urgent action is needed to reverse negative environmental impact and restore planetary health. As I said, smart, sustainable, and resilient city can be one of the solutions to face and to tackle the effect of climate change on our globe. The UNEP emphasizes that the world is not on track to meet its obligation to the environmental and the mid-range timeline of 2030 and long-term sustainability by 2050. We saw in the last presentation and former presentation that smart city and resilient city and sustainable city can, if we develop this concept, we can deal with many sustainable development goals. We see the sustainable development goals, at least I think 13 sustainable development goals. So this can be a solution for also green transformation and to be more environmentally friendly. There is also now the concept of green cities. Sustainable city and green city is almost, there is an overlapping between the two concepts. When we say green city, it means we need to manage wastewater, we need air, clean air, we need green transportation, we need green building. But when we add on this smart, it means that we are using emerging technology for the benefits of environment also. And also resilient cities, it means that we will deal with other hazards like, disaster and all this concern. So it involves the development of green technology and the creation of legal regulation enforcing more environmental friendly technological solutions and legal norms. The next one. So we cannot continue with business as usual. This concept can stop. I will show you what is business as usual and which we are using now and today in our city and in our lives. We need to transform to a sustainable business model model of modernization, resource efficiency, and competition in economic system that minimize environmental impact. Next slide. So here we can see in the left side what we call linear economy or business as usual. It means we take, we produce, we make, we use, we dispose, and we pollute. This is what we call the linear economy. This, we take the natural resources, we produce the product, for example, this bottle in polyethylene. Then, after using it, we throw it, and this finish. And we pollute the environment, and we have many problems, environmental problems. Our speaker today also, she speak about environmental pollution, water pollution, and all this. So we take water, we produce bottle of water, and we throw this bottle and pollute. But we need to shift to other concept. What is the other concept? It's circular economy. Circular economy, it means we make, we use, we reuse, we remake, we recycle, we make, and this is what we call circular economy. And this concept should be developed in our city today. We don't have the choice. There is no planet B. We will not move to another planet. We need to deal with what we have now and to shift to new concept, which is more environmental friendly concepts, which preserve the environment and which keep the planet for the future generation. We don't need to be selfish, because there is new generation that should give them later the planet and in good. So the other concept is green economy, which is low carbon growth, resource efficiency, and social inclusive. We need to also to shift to renewable energy and all this new technology. So can you go to the? So eco-innovation and green technology, this is the main tool and the main means. We need to use innovative technology, emerging technologies. We can use space technology, artificial intelligence, deep learning. All this technology should be used to shift to more eco-innovative, to green technology, and to more sustainable environment. So can you go to the next? So I wanted to share only one technology which is trending, which is the green hydrogen, and many countries now look to develop this technology, which is the green hydrogen. When we show for chemists, this is very easy, maybe process, but we need to start implementing. Just we need to use renewable energy in our cities or in and then from this renewable energy, we get some electricity, and then we produce hydrogen through a hydrogen electrolyzer using the energy from the renewable energy, and then distribution, storage, and then it will be net zero emission. So we will use transportation, which is environmental friendly transportation, which will not produce any pollution in our environment. This is the new now. When we open the news and all details, maybe scientific paper, all they are talking about green hydrogen, how to produce green hydrogen as an alternative possibility to shift from fossil fuel and to produce new source of energy. So please, can you go to the next one? Now I want to share with you what we are doing regarding environment in ICISCO and some ICISCO projects and initiatives, please. A large number of capacity building and training activities was implemented in various regions, Asia, Africa, and the Arab states, on climate change financing and project preparation, renewable energy and energy efficient preparation of climate change adaptation projects. For this one, the last one we did during COP27 held in Egypt. So we did a training on how to prepare projects to be funded by Green Fund, by Adaptation Fund, and to submit proposals which can be called bankable projects. So we have innovative technology for disaster warning and disaster risk reduction. For this, we developed an ambitious project. We started by a pilot project and we implemented many activities, one in Morocco, one in Ivory Coast, and one in Pakistan, and one in Sultanate Oman. Is about using innovative technology in disaster risk reduction and disaster risk management. And like ICT, like space sciences, GIS, remote sensing, early warning system, all these technology were promoted and developed. Now we are moving to the next step and the next stage, which is another ambitious program on disaster risk reduction in the Islamic world. And we are developing again some trainings, some capacity building activities for decision makers, for youth. And we are also thinking to introduce the culture of prevention in primary school and secondary school, how we can introduce curriculum in the secondary school and primary school to raise awareness about disasters, floods, earthquakes, tsunamis, to make our children and our society aware about this. Because sometimes the floods or sometimes the tsunamis came and people, they don't know what's happening. So when they have this culture, they will be more attentive and more. So we are also developing seminars on green, blue, and circular economy. This is what I already mentioned. And we developed a strategy and roadmap on smart, sustainable, and resilient city in the Islamic world. This roadmap and strategy will be presented during the next Ministerial Conference of Environment, which will be held in Saudi Arabia next year. So this strategy, it will be adopted with the 54 member states, inshallah. Also, we have a guideline on best practices on green transformation in the Islamic world. We developed also these guidelines. Why we developed the guidelines is to sensitize, raise awareness about this new concept for our member countries. So to tell them, please, there is new trends, there is new, innovation. You should follow this innovation and try your best to shift to more sustainable economy and more sustainable. This is, I think, all what I want to share with you. If you have some question, I am here, please.
Thank you, Dr. Fudhail, for the materials of ISISCO and green transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, for on-site participants, if you'd like to deliver your question to Dr. Fuad, you're allowed to raise your hand. Okay, it seems we haven't got question from on-site, Doctor. However, we have one question from online participants regarding to the renewable energy programs. What are renewable energy programs that have been conducted from ISISCO with especially from with the developing countries? Because we know that developing countries still using coal energy mostly. So what are what are the steps of the ISISCO to the developing countries? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So for renewable energy and energy efficiency, we develop also many programs. The first one we developed in Kazakhstan, we did two things. One, it was on renewable energy and energy efficiency training workshop. The second one also, it was in the energy efficient governmental structures. The second one also, we had international training in Gambia regarding also with the University of the Gambia. It was also regarding renewable energy and energy efficiency. And this program, now we are working with many international organizations on this topic and to develop and to support our member countries for renewable energy, mainly developing countries. So this is mainly what we are doing now on energy.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor, for the explanations. If may, other question from the on-site participants? It seems that's all for the session. Thank you so much once again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's big applause for Dr. Fudhail. ladies and gentlemen, for the next agenda, because we haven't had Mr. Mike Brisbois, IEEE Consultant Network from USA with us, we have break for 20 minutes, start from now. We will start again the event approximately at 2:50 p.m. Western Indonesia local time. Thank you.
lingkungan, dan lain sebagainya tidak hanya di kota, namun desa, kecamatan, kabupaten, bahkan provinsi. Tantangan yang dihadapi yaitu implementasi parsial dan insidental, skop dan implementasi yang terlalu luas sehingga dampaknya tidak dirasakan masyarakat, terlalu berfokus pada pengembangan teknologi, melupakan tata kelola dan perubahan mindset sumber daya manusia untuk menjadi lebih baik, dan minimnya evaluasi terhadap implementasi integrasi layanan. Urgensi dari Living Lab yaitu kebutuhan implementasi yang terukur dan berkelanjutan. Pendekatan atau solusi yang Living Lab merupakan Living Lab yang akan diimplementasikan di area terbatas yaitu kampus, jalan, desa, kota, kabupaten, dan lain-lain, dan area nyata dengan beberapa karakteristik. Objektif Living Lab terdiri dari 5 hal, yaitu peningkatan kualitas hidup, penyelesaian permasalahan dalam skala kecil, jalan, kampus, kawasan, kota, kabupaten, dan sebagainya, menyediakan prototipe teknologi, tata kelola, dan pengembangan sumber daya manusia, evaluasi berkelanjutan untuk real problem dan real condition, knowledge center, dan shareable lab sebagai pusat pembelajaran untuk kota-kota di Indonesia. Area untuk urban yaitu Braga, Dago, Dipati Ukur, serta Ganesha.
Kurang lebih karena ada speakers kita yang belum terhubung saat ini. Demikian. Terima kasih.
Kemudian untuk area rural terpilih yaitu Desa Cangkingan. Kegiatan yang sudah dilakukan yaitu mengadakan focus group discussion atau FGD di Desa Cangkingan mengenai inovasi-inovasi yang akan diterapkan di Desa Cangkingan, dan berikut adalah kondisi existing di Desa Cangkingan terutama untuk peternakan. Kemudian untuk area maritim terpilih yaitu Kecamatan Cantigi. Berikut adalah kondisi existing di Kecamatan Cantigi, di mana mayoritas masyarakatnya bekerja sebagai nelayan. Seluruh anggota dari di Living Lab mengikuti pembekalan materi untuk sistem thinking dan design thinking sebagai landasan agar inovasi yang diajukan tepat sasaran. Semua data hasil dari penelitian, pemantauan, ataupun pengukuran akan langsung diintegrasikan di platform Living Lab yang dapat diakses untuk keempat daerah terpilih, yaitu DDG, Braga, Kecamatan Cantigi, dan Desa Cangkikan. Berikut adalah kegiatan untuk ekonomi di daerah urban dan rural, di mana para peneliti dan juga anggota MPKM terlibat langsung dalam kegiatan survei yang dilakukan di Dago dan juga Braga, dengan target utamanya yaitu para UMKM. Pada platform Living Lab untuk sub UMKM dapat dilihat total transaksi yang sudah dilakukan berdasarkan tipe UMKM, jumlah transaksi berdasarkan lokasi, pembagian zona pedagang kaki lima di wilayah Dago, di Pati Ukur dan Ganesa, UMKM berdasarkan jenis dagang, kawasan, serta penempatan, penggunaan digital payment, platform e-commerce, dan delivery service, serta detail sebaran dari UMKM. Dengan fungsi utama untuk mempermudah pelayanan medis dan fasilitas kesehatan, terutama bagi masyarakat yang sulit dijangkau atau mengakses daerah tersebut. Fitur yang disediakan yaitu adalah konsultasi online, laporan medis online, rekomendasi obat online dengan resep resmi dokter dari rumah sakit atau klinik terpilih, pembelian dan penggunaan obat online dengan interaksi langsung yang minimal. Kemudian untuk urgensi safe and secure, yaitu pemerasan, kekerasan, aksi unjuk rasa yang menyebabkan kerugian dan rasa tidak nyaman pada pejalan kaki, PMKS yang setiap hari tidur di sepanjang jalan Braga yang membuat rasa tidak nyaman dan mengurangi keindahan. Kemudian untuk inovasi teknologi menggunakan Viana, yaitu monitoring anomali pejalan kaki seperti adanya tindak kekerasan dan adanya PMKS yang tidur di jalan. Kemudian menggunakan smart pole, yaitu tiang pintar yang dilengkapi fasilitas untuk menciptakan rasa aman dan nyaman pengguna jalan. Untuk smart mobility, berikut adalah inovasi teknologi yang dilakukan, yaitu smart CCTV dan vertical parking dengan keuntungan aman diparkir di suatu tempat dan mengurangi adanya parkir liar. Dan juga dilakukan engagement dan literasi seperti sosialisasi kepada masyarakat, literasi masyarakat mengenai parkir liar dan vertical parking, engagement ke dinas perhubungan, sosialisasi kepada masyarakat mengenai penggunaan kendaraan umum, memperlakukan pelaksanaan ganjil genap apabila baik dilaksanakan. Untuk domain lingkungan, salah satu kegiatan dilakukan yaitu adalah smart waste activities dengan tujuan kegiatan untuk pengurangan penumpukan sampah di lingkungan masyarakat, pengurangan penumpukan sampah rumah tangga, menciptakan kesadaran masyarakat dalam masalah persampahan, meningkatkan keinginan masyarakat dalam mengelola sampah dengan lebih cerdas. Detail kegiatan smart waste activities yaitu adalah kegiatan walk cleaning up, edukasi pembuangan sampah pada tempatnya, pemilahan sampah organik dan anorganik, edukasi pengolahan sampah organik menjadi kompos maggot dan lain-lain, edukasi pengolahan sampah anorganik, serta edukasi aplikasi Clean Hero untuk petugas sampah. Aplikasi Clean Hero digunakan untuk memudahkan pemantauan sekaligus pendataan sampah berdasarkan penginputan oleh petugas kebersihan, di mana nantinya dapat input mengenai total sampah yang diangkut dan dikumpulkan ke TPS, besaran sampah yang dipilah oleh masyarakat, titik lokasi liar sampah yang sering menjadi lokasi pembuangan sampah liar oleh masyarakat umum dengan menyertakan foto. Dengan target edukasi yaitu adalah ketua RT, ketua RW, tokoh masyarakat, masyarakat umum di RW 04, dan petugas sampah RW 04. Kemudian untuk Smart Waste Bin dan CCTV, Smart Trash Bin digunakan untuk monitor tingkat kepenuhan tempat sampah secara real time, mengurangi titik sampah liar, dan pengangkutan sampah yang lebih efektif. Kemudian untuk Smart Waste CCTV digunakan untuk monitor tingkat kepenuhan TPS secara real time, pengangkutan sampah yang lebih efektif, dan meningkatnya kebersihan di area pelayanan. Dan kemudian untuk fitur inovasi yang dilakukan yaitu pemantauan real time volume sampah, notifikasi otomatis saat sampah hampir penuh, dan optimasi rute pengangkutan. Kemudian dilakukan FGD untuk inovasi di Cantigi dan Canggingan. Untuk inovasi smart maritim yaitu penangkapan ikan terukur dengan skema sebagai berikut. Penangkapan ikan baru dialokasikan terjadi di TPI, di mana ikan yang diukur merupakan ikan hasil tangkapan nelayan yang akan dijual. Ikan tersebut nantinya akan diukur spesiesnya, ukuran, dan kesegaran, serta secara otomatis akan langsung terkalkulasikan harganya pada Smart Cantigi. Dengan skema penangkapan ikan terukur baru yaitu nelayan akan membawa ikan ke TPI, jumlah total tangkapan nelayan akan ditimbang, dan dilakukan pemisahan ikan berdasarkan spesies, ukuran, dan kesegarannya. Data tangkapan ikan terkumpul dan terkoneksi pada cloud. Data ikan tersebut terkalkulasi dengan memunculkan harga pada marketplace. Inovasi selanjutnya yaitu charging station solar panel. Solar panel ini digunakan karena masih banyaknya nelayan yang tidak mempunyai lampu kedip dapat membahayakan aktivitas di malam hari, serta energi consumption yang dibutuhkan sekitar 30 liter untuk penerangan 4 buah lampu dengan waktu durasi melaut 7-15 jam. Untuk quality of life indicators-nya yaitu mengurangi konsumsi penggunaan solar nelayan dengan memanfaatkan tenaga surya yang berupa solar panel. Innovative value proposition yaitu pemasangan panel surya untuk jasa charge dan menyewa baterai dengan service measurement dapat mengurangi konsumsi pembelian solar untuk penerangan dan meningkatkan pemanfaatan EBT atau tenaga surya. Pengukuran kualitas air tambak. Fokus problem pada kondisi ini yaitu pembudidaya masih belum melaksanakan pengukuran kualitas air secara periodik. Maka dari itu dibutuhkan monitoring kualitas air tambak dengan tujuan pengukuran kualitas air secara periodik, efektivitas kinerja di lapangan dengan respon yang lebih cepat, kontrol inisial yang tersentralisasi, penghematan energi melalui penggunaan PLTS dengan sistem pengukuran kualitas air menggunakan sensor oceanografi dengan menggunakan energi terbarukan PLTS sebagai sumber energinya. Lanjutnya terdapat river trash barrier yang digunakan untuk mengurangi jumlah volume sampah di sungai sebagai akibat dari tidak adanya daya angkut walaupun memiliki daya tampung sampah yang memadai di Kecamatan Candigi, menyebabkan masyarakat membuang sampahnya ke sungai yang terhubung dengan Sungai Cimanuk. Maka dari itu digunakan skema strategis berupa river trash barrier pada titik jenuh sampah dan pengambilan sampah pada trash barrier, kemudian mengikuti protokol dan ketentuan bank sampah yang akan dilakukan pengangkutan ke bank sampah dan pembayaran pada customer atau heroes bank sampah ke masing-masing fasilitas pengolahan dan pengolahan pihak ketiga atau partner.
Urbanisasi menyebabkan jumlah penduduk yang hidup di kota semakin meningkat. Diperkirakan pada tahun 2050 nanti 70% penduduk akan hidup di kota, sementara luasan tanah yang tersedia tidak kalah kemacetan, pengelolaan sampah, ketersediaan energi, polusi, kesehatan, dan lain sebagainya, sehingga menyebabkan ketimpangan akan kebutuhan dan ketersediaan dari infrastruktur maupun pelayanan yang ada di kota. 3 hal utama yang kami gunakan dalam membangun sebuah ekosistem kota yang cerdas adalah sensing, understanding, and acting. Sensing, penginderaan terhadap persoalan-persoalan yang ada di kota, masalah kemacetan, masalah sampah, banjir, orang sakit, orang kesusahan, dan telah membantu mengatasi persoalan tersebut dengan bisa mendapatkan suatu solusi, mendapatkan sensor, mendapatkan data yang lebih baik. Perbedaan cara pengambilan dan pengelolaan data yang terjadi antara sektor, mungkin sektor kesehatan, sektor pendidikan, kependudukan, dan sebagainya, menyebabkan data itu tersebar. Data itu belum optimal diintegrasikan. Untuk dapat mengelola dengan baik, kita memerlukan integrasi dan kolaborasi, sehingga dapat menyelesaikan permasalahan kota dengan lebih efisien dan efektif. Pusat Inovasi Kota dan Komsel Cerdas mengembangkan sebuah platform integrasi yang memanfaatkan teknologi untuk dapat mendapatkan data-data secara cepat dan mudah untuk mensinergiskan sektor-sektor yang ada sehingga dapat dikolaborasikan untuk berbagai kepentingan. Kemudian understanding, data-data yang didapat perlu diolah, perlu dilakukan suatu analisis. Kami juga menghadirkan solusi untuk dapat memahami kondisi suatu kota yang beragam dengan memanfaatkan kecerdasan artifisial maupun teknologi yang lain, sehingga kota dapat dengan tanggap mengetahui perilaku dan kondisi permasalahan kota terkini real time, agar proses pemahaman data bisa dilakukan secara lebih akurat. Real time city, kami juga mengembangkan inovasi tentang Instagram kondisi anomali sekaligus menganalisis potensi kota dari segi ekonomi. Berikutnya tentang acting, bertindak. Data-data yang telah dipahami memanfaatkan kecerdasan artifisial dan big data tersebut tentu akan membantu proses pengambilan keputusan agar kota dapat menyelesaikan masalahnya secara lebih efektif dan lebih tepat sasaran.
PIKKC saat ini memiliki sebuah laboratorium IoT yang diresmikan sejak tahun 2019 yang lalu. Laboratorium IoT ini bertujuan untuk mengembangkan ide inovasi, referensi desain produk, solusi, dan bahkan talenta guna menjawab tantangan perkotaan. Produk IoT yang dikembangkan oleh PIKKC saat ini telah diimplementasikan untuk mewujudkan konsep smart, safe, secure, and healthy city. Sistem IoT ini dipasangkan pada komponen-komponen perkotaan yang strategis seperti di stasiun, di fasilitas publik, jalan raya, dan fasilitas-fasilitas strategis lainnya dengan tujuan untuk memenuhi indikator keamanan, kenyamanan, dan kesehatan. Dengan teknologi mesin-to-mesin, tindakan dapat dilakukan secara otomatis dengan cara mengirimkan notifikasi kepada pihak yang berwenang, menerapkan akses kontrol, menggunakan sinyal warning, mematikan sistem, misalkan jika terjadi kebakaran atau situasi bencana, ya, mematikan sistem kelistrikan, dan tindakan-tindakan lainnya yang diperlukan untuk mencegah dan menindaklanjuti
dapat membantu proses pengambilan keputusan seperti pengaturan lampu lalu lintas, bahkan mampu menghasilkan pemberitahuan dini sehingga dapat diambil tindakan preventif terhadap suatu permasalahan. Pusat Inovasi Kota dan Komunitas Cerdas DB juga mengembangkan Living Lab, suatu metode untuk membantu pengembangan smart city di suatu kota. Dengan adanya Living Lab membatasi suatu lokasi yang kecil, kita akan memahami co-creation atau gotong royong antara pemerintah, warga, dan juga masyarakat yang lain untuk menyelesaikan hal-hal yang belum dilakukan di daerah tersebut, baik teknologi, tata kelola, orang, mindset, dan yang terkait, terutama kemauan semua pihak untuk menjadikan daerah kecil tersebut menjadi daerah yang smart. Mana-mana yang terjadi anomali, mana-mana pihak-pihak yang tidak ikut dalam berkontribusi, kita ukur sehingga kita bisa melakukan proses intervensi seperti kalau kita punya laboratorium kelinci.
Ada 3 kesalahan yang sering dilakukan. Harus definisikan tujuan mana yang ingin kita capai, lalu kita terjemahkan ke dalam sistem apa yang mau kita bangun. Yang kedua, tidak fokus pada sesuatu yang sifatnya holistik. Dalam hal ini biasanya teknologi. Perancang kota, perancang solusi smart city, banyak yang terlalu fokus pada teknologi, melupakan aspek lainnya. Apa solusi holistik itu? Pertama adalah people, proses, teknologi, dan ada satu lagi yang tidak kalah penting hari ini, yaitu data dan pengelolaan data. Kadang kita mempunyai solusi yang baik, katakanlah holistik. Untuk sesaat solusi tersebut jalan, berguna, dan mencapai tujuannya. Tapi masih ada hal yang dilupakan, yaitu sustainability. Sustainability atau strategi people, proses, teknologi, data, tapi juga sejak awal dibarengi dengan satu strategi untuk menjaga continuity-nya atau keberlanjutannya.
Untuk menjawab persoalan tersebut, Pusat Inovasi Kota dan Komunitas Cerdas ITB hadir untuk dapat memberikan solusi-solusi cerdas dan dapat mengubah suatu kota dengan memahami berbagai persoalan yang ada agar tercipta rasa aman, nyaman, bahagia yang berkelanjutan bagi masyarakat.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention please? We will continue our event in a moment. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon from Indonesia. A very warm greetings to each and every one of you. The Honorable our trainers, Mr. Mike Brisbois, IEEE Consultant Network from America. We continue our session, which is our last session for today's program. The training with topics of energy efficiency for smart, sustainable, and resilient cities. Mr. Mike Brisbois has joined us online through Zoom meetings. For Mr. Mike Brisbois, the time and screen is yours.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to share my screen.
Excuse me, sir. Is there any issues with presenting the screen?
Can you see the screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so you can see the full screen.
Yeah, I'm seeing the presentation PowerPoint application, the entire screen. Okay,
You see it? Okay, and you can hear me okay?
Yes, it's clear, sir.
Okay, thank you. My name is Mike Brisboy. I'm the IEEE Consultant Network in Seattle, Washington. And I'll be presenting today on energy efficiency and smart, sustainable, and resilient cities. I have some examples, and I'm going to briefly take you through what we're doing here in Seattle, Washington, and some of the folks that we've been working with. Okay, once again, my name is Mike Brisboy. I'm an electrical engineer. I work for a company doing energy audits. So I also am chair of the IEEE Seattle Network in Seattle, Washington. We do energy efficient, smart, sustainable, resilient cities. I've been doing a lot of IEEE smart cities from countries, cities all over the world, from Singapore to Morocco to Berlin. We've been Auckland, New Zealand. So we've been working with folks, resident native speakers, finding out what they're doing best in their cities, and we're trying to duplicate that in other cities and learning from other folks. So some of the things that we've been doing is resiliencies, working with our Navy, Army, trying to get them off the grid for 14 days. Sustainability, reducing the carbon footprints of some of the folks here in the United States. One of the big companies we're working with is Microsoft data centers, and trying to get them off carbon free by 2030. So we've been working with those folks. Efficiency, bringing in new equipment, more efficient Energy Star equipment to make using less energy and getting the same amount of output from that. And some of the things that we've been working with, some of the big companies called Alpha Structure and Green Structure. We've been doing energy as a service, where we actually provide resilient, sustainable, energy efficient assets at low or no cost to the client. So, and the way we do that is by using energy purchase agreements, where we sell power back to the utility grid. And during peak times, then we can actually make the client save some money and bank that. So I'm going to give some examples today during my presentation. And like I mentioned, I'm the IEEE Consultant Network of Seattle, Washington. I have 85 energy professionals, engineers, software developers, electronics folks under me that I coach. I help connect. I network them with jobs and other folks. Also, I'm a part of the board of the IEEE Power and Energy Society. We have 485 members. We're one of the biggest in the United States. And then we're connected to the IEEE, which is, as you know, 420,000 members. And we welcome Tom Coughlin, the president-elect coming in. He's part of our groups. He's done several presentations for us in the past. Okay, like I mentioned, we did a lot of smart cities from Singapore, Morocco, Auckland, New Zealand, London. We just had Bellevue, Washington, USA. I spoke with the mayor there on Friday. Barcelona, Spain. Next month, we're going to have New Delhi, India. We're going to see what they have for smart connectivity, smart health, smart water, smart governance, smart citizens, and see what they have and how we can work with them and learn from them. We also had Helsinki Helsinki, Switzerland, and Berlin, Germany as some of the every month we have a different city that we come in and work with the folks that are local and try to learn from them and kind of coach them on some of the things we've been doing. Okay, and also every month, like I mentioned, I have IEEE Tech Talks this month. Actually, today we're going to have a talk later today on commercial space and national security. So that's a good one. Some of the past Tech Talks, which include smart cities, solar grids, magnetic levitation, speed rails. So that's part of the smart transportation. So I also have live in-person conferences. We just got back from Miami, Florida, United States. Had folks talk on energy as a service. Had Steve Pullins from the Alpha Structure group talk on how to create these huge, massive microgrids where we actually own, operate, provide, maintain, construct, commission, and test these microgrids, and they own it for the life of the asset. So basically, the client, like a major airport, is getting the microgrid, the power for little or no cost. So that's something to be aware of. Other conferences we had in other cities in the United States, Pasco, Washington, Seattle, Washington, Miami, Florida. In April, we're going to have a conference in Las Vegas, Nevada. We plan on having a fall conference in Chicago, and then in the winter time or fall, Phoenix, Arizona. So y'all welcome to come. We kind of bring a lot of technical, professional folks together in the same room and collaborate, and like you're doing today here in Jakarta, Indonesia. Some of the folks that I like to have is like the mayor or some select person that has authority that can give open up the conference for us. We also have Olympians, folks that actually have very strict knowledge and how they help and coach folks, and that helps in the real world too, where you, in the everyday world, you have your employees and you like to coach them. We learn from coaching folks like that. So we had a couple athletes that were at the Tokyo and the Rio Games come in. We just had the coach from the Olympic coach from the Rio Games. He coached a lady to the weightlifting, and it's great to hear some folks' stories on how they coach these folks and how they obtain their feet. Okay, moving on. Like I mentioned, we had one of the things that I also have is the microgrid consortium. So that's part of Smart Cities, basically, where we have a group of folks, companies, organizations come together to actually execute one of these microgrids or sustainable DERs, energy resources that either a solar grid, a wind turbine, fuel cell, hydrogen fuel cells. We had other kind of the project we're working on in the United States. We're creating, well, we're recommending some solutions to help build the grid. Some of the grid power lines, overhead lines, poles, they're getting to be 50 to 100 years old, and they're breaking down. So they're coming to us, the Microgrid Consortium, to give some ideas on how to improve or to modify or just to add to the existing grid to take some of the pressure off of all these EV charging stations, all these EV, Amazon's got 100,000 electric vehicles getting plugged in every day. So there's a strain on the grid. So they're looking to us to give some solutions. Some of the other projects I'm working on is Shasta Mountain, which is telecoms. So during the wildfire season, they want to shut down these. They want to shut down all power, so they don't have these wildfires caused by the utility. And the telecoms, they're up in arms because the customers are losing, cell phone coverage. So it's important that we build these microgrids, these solar panels, wind turbines, battery energy storage. So when they do turn off the grid, that the telecoms, the towers, the cell phones will continue in service. So that's important. That's one of the projects we're working on. Also working with the IEEE 1547 interconnect, the IEEE 2030 grid connections. And I believe there's a new one out for 2030 for remote microgrids. We've been working with some of the folks in Tibet, so that was nice to see how they carry the batteries up the mountain. Another project we're working on is a water treatment plant. These are all sustainable projects, part of the Smart Cities initiatives, where we come in and we provide energy as a service, which is providing the solar panels, the energy battery backups, also microgrid controllers in one package where we own it and we provide it, we maintain it, and we work with the client, the customer, writing these power purchase agreements with the utility so we can sell back power at certain times, a certain amount of power, where the client actually can work on what they do best, wastewater treatment. So that's a win-win for both sides. So I'll go over that a little bit. Like I mentioned, my group is the Microgrid Consortium, where we have a team of folks that come together. Some of the folks in it is wind turbines, rental equipment, cybersecurity, which is important. We have battery energy storage folks, mechanical and electrical design folks, engineers, nuclear. Nuclear is not coming on board until another 3 to 4 years for the microgrids. We have local utility support, connecting to the grid, which is a big thing. We want to, a lot of these energy storage devices are actually a common coupling bus, which can have power on both sides. So there's a lot of issues with the code here in the United States, the National Electric Code, also working with the International Electric Code. We have a lawyer, we have utility support, like I mentioned, electric contractors, environmental impact statements. That's important too. So if you're going in and putting in solar panels and wind turbines, does it affect the birds or does it affect the wildlife or any of the environmental? Some of these lithium ion batteries can have some effect on the environment, so that needs to have a study on, depending on how big it is. These big companies like Siemens, Eaton, Green Structure, FlowGen, and we actually create a consortium where we work together to solve a common problem. So that's one of the things where we stand together. We're stronger together. We bring in operational microgrids to our clients. Provide cost savings, sustainability, connection to the grid, commissioning, testing, and lower the carbon footprint and build resiliency. One of the things that, like I mentioned, for the military wants to be totally off the grid for 14 days. So that's a goal that we're working with our military on. So, and then a lot of it is no cost to you, the client. So that's a win-win for both of us. So let's see. Okay, so some of the services, like I mentioned, some of these microgrids need to be designed. It needs to be constructed, planned. Where we're going to get these solar panels? So we're going to get them from China. We're going to build them in the United States. There's a lot of planning that needs to be done. Once it's planned, we need to get it through permitting to make sure that it's viable in a certain area we're going to drop it down in. And also, is it properly per code, like electrical codes? Does it have cutoff switches? Are you able to take it out of service? If we do lose power, is it able to switch over? Is it live or hot or energized on both sides? So we need warning labels. So that's important too for the sustainability of these microgrids. Construction management is they once the microgrids drop down, are they sustainable, structurally sound in case of an earthquake or maybe a flood or a typhoon or a hurricane that comes in? Is it safe? So that's what we're looking at here. Pre-construction planning, like I mentioned, architectural plannings, drawings, and construction management. Make sure everything goes through. It's commissioned, it's tested, and then these microgrids, these solar panels are in service. Do they need to be upgraded? And some of the things we have is the microgrid controllers, which is actually an app sometimes that can tell the client or the customer or the owner of the facility if there's an issue, if there's a short circuit, or if they're losing power or something, or how much power they're going to be putting back to the grid. So that's always important. If I have time today, on some of the solar panels we're working with the local college on. One of the big one, Microsoft, is looking to be carbon free by 2030, so we're working with them. They have 500 megawatt diesel generators. They're trying to get off diesel, either natural gas, which is not as bad, but they're looking into hydrogen fuel cells, not there yet. Wind turbines, is there some kind of energy that they could use other than diesel to help reduce their carbon footprint? So we're working with them on that. Okay, like I mentioned, we have a team that I put together. We put together the last one. It could be no or low cost team. It could be all rolled in and then amortized over the life of the project. So really quick, energy as a service, you get the energy outcomes that you need to run your business. So basically, you're working your core competencies, like if it's a wastewater treatment plant, you're doing wastewater treatment plant, we're taking care of the energy for you. Your capital's freed up, so you don't have to worry about that. We own it. We maintain it. We work with the utility to help write the power purchase agreements. You get an energy partner. We work with you alongside, making sure everything is working properly. The solar panels are working correctly. We're feeding power back to the utility at the tariff rates that we agreed upon. And like I mentioned, basically the contract lasts from 15 to 25 years, and then you could either sell it or own it, and then still reap the benefits of the solar and the wind after the time. So, but basically, that's what we propose as the energy as a service. So basically, a power purchase agreement. We work with qualified facilities, typically 5 megawatts or less. The rates are locked in to 15 years or a minimum of 12 years at a certain rate, a certain amount of hours, and then we amortize it over the life of the asset. And then we work with the utilities, right, in the power purchase agreements with the utilities to make sure that we are able to sell the power back to them. So sometimes they limit that amount of power, and then at what time. So sometimes during peak time they need the power. It's sometimes late at night when there's no sun. They don't need the power. So basically what we're doing is we're charging up our batteries. So during the peak times when the prices are higher, we're just pulling off the batteries for our facilities. So that's important. So it's a lot of calculations, a lot of math, and then we present it to you, the client, just to make sure it's reasonable. So power purchase agreements. So basically, they have carrot charts that we look at. How much do they take for solar? How much do they take for wind? What's the base loads? And then we kind of do all the calculations for you, kind of give you the net end result on your savings, how much that you need. And another thing is for your facilities, your sustainable facilities, how much power do you actually need? So we come in, we do an energy audit of your facility. There's some critical loads, like life safety. If it's a hospital, you want to make sure that those stay on. There's some optional loads. Do you need air conditioning? Do you not? Do you need heating during the summer? So we look at all the loads, and we kind of work with you to hash out what's the critical loads and what's not. So like I mentioned, energy service agreements, we write those with the client. We use our team. We put the best team together, civil engineers, structural engineers, electrical engineers, designers, constructors. We build the facility, we own it, we maintain it. And then on the flip side, we actually, some of the clients, they don't want us to own it, so we kind of just build it and give it off to them. So there's other scenarios that we work with for these sustainable microgrids. So solar, so we've been looking at solar. Solar is pretty standard. Battery energy storage, we met with Tucson Grid. They have these utility scale batteries, so they're pretty big, tractor trailer truck size generators. There's some types of generators, natural gas generators, propane. We have propane generators also. So we've been looking at some of the alternatives to a complete energy carbon-free network. So energy providers, some of them are power intermediate, where they actually build the power thing and then they flip it to the utility. So financial partners, which is very important. We have some major financial companies in the United States that we work with that actually finance some of these projects for the life of the project. So that's important. Long term, over 20, 25 years, capital is invested, and then we work in a feedback to the financial institute. So basically, the first step, we look at the client. We come in, we see if it's feasible. Some of these companies, they only work on, if the kilowatt hours cost is a certain amount. Where we come in and say, yeah, it has to be at least 10 cents US dollars to make it feasible to sell back. Some of the areas in northwestern United States has a lot of hydros, causing the price of power to go down. And so we work with the client. First, second month, we look at the situation. We'll go out and do a site visit, see how much power, check out all the switchboards, the electrical gear, any motors, what's on the site, what's critical loads. We'll go through that. We'll develop for 3 to 9 months. We work with the utilities, the state and local governments, to write some power purchase agreements to make sure that when we're coming in, that it all makes sense. And then once it's viable for both parties, we sign an agreement, and then we go in, we construct it, we build it, we maintain maintain it. We commission it and test it. So, and then, and like you mentioned, if something breaks down or thick, we're out there. We're changing out the the bad part to make sure that the solar is coming in okay, and also if the wind turbines are turning, etc., the fuel cells are working, the batteries are storing the energy. So. Okay, so local incentives. So, one of the things we work with is the local government. If they give incentives for these microgrid carbon-free, carbon sustainable assets. So, one of the things in Washington State, where Seattle is located, the governor actually put a proclamation to have all gasoline cars to be electric by 2030, I believe. So, that's going to put a big burden on the grid. So, we're working with the local utilities. He's given incentives for folks to buy electric cars, hydrogen cars, actually, too, in California, United States. So there's incentives for this. So basically, we take the incentives, roll it into the client's end point, and do all the calculations and kind of give them the bottom line, what you as the client or the owner of the facility is receiving. So PPAs, like I mentioned, what are they? It's a power purchase agreement with the utility company, the power utility company. We write that for the client. We actually work with the utilities, find out the rates, what time can we send power over, how much power can we send over. So that's all calculated. An example, so this is one example that we put together, working with the local utility, Puget Sound Energy, where we sign it, and it's a wastewater treatment plant, investor-owned electric utility company. All the regulations we have to follow here in the United States, the Federal Energy Regulation Commission, also our state, Washington Utility Transportation Commission. There's rules. We need to be up on top of them. And then also the Energy Policy Act. So there's a lot of, got to cross the T's, dot the I's, make sure everything is in place and checked. And then once all that is done, our legal team looks at it, and then we sign off on it. Okay, so in particular case we're showing here, they had solar and wind. We actually had a company doing the inverters, the microgrid controllers. So if the utility cuts power, does it switch over? Does it stay common coupling bus? Does it stay energized on both sides? How does that work? So do they push energy back to the grid? Do we use it internally? So there's a lot of questions for the controller to figure out to make these operational. So, and then, what are you expecting from your solar? What's the maximum solar output? How big are your batteries? So how big batteries are expensive? So do you really want batteries? So one of the things is you can charge the batteries and use the batteries when the power is very expensive, like from peak time. A lot of people are using it. So that's a lot of questions that we put into our analysis, and then we figure out, and then we work with the microgrid controller folks to make sure that what we want, it switches over and gives power back to the utility when it's supposed to. So that's key. So like I mentioned, let's see, so some definitions, net output. So like I mentioned, how much electricity power output energy is the DERs, the distributed energy resources, the microgrids, the solar panels, the wind turbines are giving off. And then you got to calculate all the losses. Is there dirt? There's sand. There's wire resistance that's taken into consideration. How much of that, if you have 100% of solar, are all the solar panels working? Is there any shade? Is there any dirt on some of the panels? So that's all important criteria that you need to put into the calculations to figure out what the end result is. Some details, metering. So net metering, we got to put a net meter on your facility where you can actually turn the meter backwards. It's actually a separate meter. You're actually sending power back to the utility grid, where the grid is actually purchasing it. You're getting units, and then that's all calculated. And then when do they cut you off? How much power can you give back? It's not infinite. There's certain amounts of power. It's all metered by using the advanced metering system that the utility that provides for us. So that's all things that we need to take into consideration. So some milestones, financing. We look to get the financing in place. Interconnections, always important. Right now, it's a big backlog in the United States to connect to the grid. So we got all these DERs, these microgrids, these solar panels that want to get connected. It is just a big backlog here in the United States to get that connected. So we got to follow the IEEE 1547. I'm working with a lot of the local utilities to get that done. How to expedite that. We're working with them on how we can streamline some of these processes. Interconnections, construction permits, operational permits, startup and testing. Make sure everything is good. We don't want any aurora. We need that wave to stay in sync when it changes back. So is it a make before break situation? Is it the islanding switch where the whole thing is on totally on island mode, or it's totally operating on the facility on itself, or you actually take in solar and utility power at the same time? So a lot of questions there. Power purchase agreements. We like I mentioned, we use the incentives. There's grants. There's incentives. All that goes into one process, and we come up with a final answer to our clients on what power requirements they're going to have benefits to them. So, and like I mentioned, it also depends on what do you want to on your facility load. Are you doing 100% backup? Are you doing 50% critical loads? There's a lot of questions that we come in and we ask the questions and figure that out for you. Like I mentioned, I think we went through this: build more efficient devices, lower your carbon emissions. We build resiliency. A lot of folks want to be able to have power during a hurricane or a typhoon afterwards. So a lot of folks build resilient, strong systems that maintain and continuously provide electricity after the fact, after a storm. So that's important. Cost savings. A lot of times you can roll in some of the old electrical gear into the new microgrid construction. So that's build and finance and maintain your microgrid, like I mentioned, doing the power purchase agreements. So here's an example. So one client, we went in, they had $800,000 in energy bills a year. So by putting in more microgrid, and then the net from all this, so that's came up to $725 total energy payments for the new microgrid install. So basically, the client in this case actually saved money when we came in. So to me, that's a win-win when you're actually saving money and the client is not paying anything. So these power purchase agreements, these energy as a service is something to look into. So it doesn't pertain to every facility, but some of these facilities may take advantage of this depending on the size and the load and the locality. Okay, I'm really knowledge. So I'm going to go quickly through this, 2 minutes, on where we put the solar panels and some of the locations we found for the energy battery storage systems at a particular college. So we like I mentioned, build, test, and we use solar wind. Geothermal is another one where you put the pipes in the ground. That could save, that's considered a microgrid. Biomass, taking all the agricultural, burning that up. Hydroelectric. So like I mentioned, we design, build, and using operation capital expenses, little or no for you, the client, and then using all the local incentives. So the energy bill, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. So like I mentioned, after all is said and done, there's a cost savings of 200,000 yen. Contractor, financing, program manager. So we come in, we partner with experts to come in to get you that sustainable, resilient microgrid. The process, like I mentioned, I think we talked about this already. Typically, it takes 1 to 1.5 years to construct for a facility like a college. Like I mentioned, Alpha Structure does these huge airports. They've come in and put on solar fields of arrays. What do you get? You get, like I mentioned, you get a lower carbon footprint. You reduce your carbon footprint, reduce cost, energy efficiency, resiliency, sustainability. And then what's the condition, like I mentioned, of your switchboard, your generators? Can you roll that into the new price here? Energy bills, we look at your energy bills. And then we analyze it. We come back and we give you a scenario on what we think that could possibly save you money, make a sustainable microgrid. I think we went through this. Energy as a service, probably 15 to 25 years. We own it. We maintain it. We own. We provide. We help you write the power purchase agreement with the utility. Let's see. So CHP is another one. Combined heat and power is another type of microgrid. Let's see. So energy, your new dashboard. So basically, once we do this, we give you a dashboard where you actually see these. And then, like I mentioned, we work with some of the design engineering firms, contractors to build and produce it. We work with the local utilities. It's a long-term operation. It's customer on site. We write an engineering service agreement with you, the client. We work with folks like Schneider Electric, Siemens, Alpha Structure. And here's a quick example. 1 more minute. So example of the college. So we put some solar panels. We looked at the site here on where to put it. We looked at maybe carports, and we looked for locations for the electrical rooms. And like I mentioned, carports, we kind of did the calculations. I think we went over that. So we do the solar calculations. And
so much, sir. Question and answer session. Is there any participants from on-site who would like to deliver question to Mr. Mike Brisboy? Yes, please, sir.
Baik, Assalamualaikum. I have a question. This is my question. What are the most practical solutions to prevent cybersecurity issue in part of prevent cybersecurity issue in part of electric in a smart is also what do you think about how we can do a proper security risk assessment to prevent cybersecurity? Any others actually important, or cybersecurity is a rising issue, so we have to find a solution. Maybe it's a solution because of this. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Was it clear
my understanding is he asked about cybersecurity for the microgrid.
Perhaps for the second question, yeah. Sir, would you please repeat for your second question?
Yeah, and my second part of to do a proper cybersecurity risk assessment. Yeah, to prevent cybersecurity issues, cybersecurity vulnerabilities, risk and threats.
Okay, so like I mentioned, I'm not a cybersecurity, but we do have a cybersecurity. There's several cybersecurity folks on the team. One of the big things they're looking at is when we've seen in past events that the bad actors are able to actuate the actuators or pressure sensors that can cause damage. So we're working with the manufacturers on that. We haven't totally figured that one out yet. As far as OT, IT, best practices is to stay up with. I'm not a cybersecurity, but I would working with the folks that are cybersecurities. They're saying stay up with the latest whatever's going on in the world. Be on top of it. So that that's my 2 cents.
Yes.
But I can get in contact with them if you like.
One cybersecurity threat is the risk can cause an outage in power issue in power, electricity, and then it can cause many challenges. Yeah, so that's very important.
It is a problem. Yes, yeah. I agree. And we need to spend more time or figure out what the next steps are to prevent any. So.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Mike. Question coming from online. It's from Mr. Roy. He's an electrical engineer at ITB, Bandung Institute of Technology, Indonesia. The question is, we do know that synchronizing conventional coal energy producing electricity with renewables will cause sort of problems such as electrical instability, since the low level of inertia that renewable energy has. What are solutions to maintain system stability from your experience or projects? As information, this issue highly is into the renewable. Please, Mr. Mike.
From my experience, we work with the utilities on the IEEE 1547, which is the interconnection. So we're working with them to use the proper devices. Like you mentioned, the wave needs to be synchronized. That's always important. We don't need aurora, which is when the waves do not, and then they cause issues. So you need to have synchronizers you got to work with your local utility. Check out the on the issues. Work with your utilities. They know what's going on, what's needed.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Mike. Next,
Okay.
we still have questions from online participants. It's coming from Mr. Christopher from institution Novate Solutions. Hi, Mr. Mike. Thank you for your sharing of microgrid businesses and expertise. I saw that you handled the construction management of the microgrids. Looking at the various locations you've shared, it means there will be a lot of projects going at the same time. May I ask, how do you monitor work done on your projects? Are you using digital apps to monitor the status of the projects? Thank you.
So we have a construction management team that does it. There's no, I don't know if they use an apps or not, but apps is always a good thing.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mike. Then we have our last question, Mr. Mike, from Miss Nathania, University of Sugiya Pranata, Indonesia. We know that too much disaster comes over right now. So what the first plan to handle that disaster over of sustainable living life as long-term industrial? And then if you giving us some suggestion to living life over disaster in Indonesia, how much time will it be realized and how much cost to make it happen? Thank you.
So my understanding what the question is, do you harden your devices? Do you harden your equipment? Is that what I'm hearing? And if it's not hardened, if you have these solar panels that are not capable of sustainable winds, that is an issue. Here in the United States, we have structural requirements for earthquakes. We have wind requirements that have hardened for sustainable winds. So I guess I would say to you is check your local codes, and if not, check the international codes to make sure your structural bracing on your facilities, on your equipment, your wind turbines. Our wind turbines turn off at 50 miles an hour, so they won't turn at a higher winds. So there's safety built into the devices. So you might want to look at that. The solar panels are hardened; they're braced down for certain wind speeds. So.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mike Brisboy. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let's give warm applause for Mr. Mike Brisboy.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the final part of our event. We do hope all trainings today will guide us in innovating solutions for smart cities challenges ahead. We kindly remind you that tomorrow we still have the program. The tomorrow training will commence at 10 a.m. Indonesia Western local time. We also remind for all participants to fill the attendance form that's dropped in the Zoom text by the committee. The attendance form is dropped also in the chat group for the offline or the on-site participants. On behalf of the committee, thank you for your great enthusiasm and participation for today's program. Lastly, good afternoon from Indonesia. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you on the next program.
Okay.